But football without fans is not. You play a football match without fans, you've got nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch, it becomes nothing.
And to Johnston. Johnston. And a goal by Johnston. Larson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! Nakamura! He has done it! Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won.
A star is born at Celtic!
Champions. That's who we are.
Afternoon, welcome to Jungle Jim Bhoys. We've just witnessed Mirren beat Celtic in Paisley 2-0, and I've got to say it was a thoroughly convincing win by St Mirren. They totally deserved it, in my opinion, and that goes the 38 unbeaten league win. That's gone in a flash. Guys, we could have been playing there until this evening, until tonight. Still wouldn't have scored. We made a host of changes, and we couldn't lay a glove on St Mirren at all. To the viewers, thank you for joining us. We'll try and do the post-mortem on this first defeat of the season domestically, and we've got McGinty, we've got Kaiser in the house. How are you gents doing?
Oh, I was good about an hour and a half ago, mate. Settling down to watch the game. Fortunately, missed the first 10 minutes again. But settling down, I thought, well, here we go. A good game of football, Sunday afternoon, have a beer, whatever. And it was just turgid. I think the best way to describe that entire game from a Celtic point of view was grey. Grey for the strips, grey for their strips, grey for our performance, just grey. It was horrible.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I think when you introduce players who are not starting regular, they tend to be maybe a half step off the pace. The contributing factor of this clash of the strips. I do feel the referee called every minute decision in their favour, while whenever a Celtic player seemed the same sort of tussle or drag back or pulled down, he let it flow. And I was like, right, well, lots of tiny little contributing factors just added to today going wrong. And I think Ange will be the first person to put his hands up and say that he got it wrong. I forgave him before the final whistle was sounded. I don't care. You know what I mean? Nobody's ruining our party. You know what I mean? Shining in the Champions League. Playing absolutely amazing. The best football I've ever seen Celtic play in my life. Not today, right? But into every life, a little rain must fall. How are we going to take this today? Celtic fans going to be raging? Are they going to be screaming? Are they going to start acting out, shouting out, complaining about the manager? No, not at all. I just don't see it. It's a don't worry, be happy moment. You get me? Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. I just think that they're not going to drag us down. Nothing can touch us right now, such as the wave of positivity around Celtic Park.
I think there'll be a lot of varying opinions from Celtic supporters, and I'm really interested to get everybody's thoughts on this. McGinty, it's the game after another midweek Champions League outing away in Poland. So it's expected that we're going to utilise the depth of the squad. He made, I think it was 6 changes. So we expect some changes, but maybe in hindsight, people might be critical of wholesale changes. But if the preferred starting 11 actually did start from kick-off today, would we have won today?
I think so. I think I side with Kaiser with what he's saying, you know, que sera, sera. These things happen. A result like today is going to happen once a season, maybe twice a season. Sometimes you don't want to see it, but it's going to happen. You know, all the big teams across all of Europe and the world football, they'll get a weird freak result where it's like, we've had an off day. What the hell's going on here? But we can explain what our off day was, and it's exactly that. It's Ange making too many changes. I think if today's proven anything to us, is that you can't make those amount of changes from game to game, especially not when you've got the international break coming up, where the players really need an rest. they're all ready to come on at halftime anyway, so why not start them that way, then ease them off as the game goes on? But you learn from it yet again, and hopefully we don't do it again. But one of the performances for me, well, two of the performances for me that kind of need to look at themselves a little bit. Well, not look at themselves, but we need to look at what their worth is to the team, is Aaron Moy and Joe Hart. And I feel like I'm being a bit harsh on Joe Hart there, but that's not the first game where he's made a couple of absolute clangers that have cost us now. Siegrist must be looking at that number 1 jersey and thinking, I should be able to get a shout here at some point. And if it wasn't for the international breaks, I think Siegrist would be starting the next game, because there were 2 howls from Hart today. And starting the guys like Moy, Turnbull, Welsh, slowed the game right down. That slowed the game down so much that we had no tempo at all in that game, which is what we thrive on.
I feel like we're back in Salem and the witch hunt has begun. Not knocking you at all, but this is what the fun of running a podcast is all about. By the way, I've got to say that I was actually more despondent dropping 3 points away in Poland than what I am today. I think today was just one of those days that I was more disappointed for the Champions League outing. So McGinty, shots fired, Hart and Aaron Moy. Kaiser, is today a day of scapegoats, or is it hold your hands up and just say we couldn't have won? And if it is a day for scapegoats, who have you got in your crosshairs? You're muted, mate. You're muted.
Excellent, thanks, bro. I kind of feel on the balance of watching the game. I had my kids coming in and out behind the secret. This is actually the green screen for the Golden Child. There's a big woman smoking a cigarette behind us, half dragon. It's my girlfriend. I feel like on today's performance, watching the game, right, a couple of times I've looked at Joe Hart and felt like in the midweek game, right, in Europe, I felt he dived out to cover a cross ball and the player went for the shot and it went high into the net, and it kind of looked like he was diving at the way of the shot. So I was kind of pissed at first when I seen that. I was like, what are you ducking at the wife for, Hart? You a big spanner. A couple of minutes later, pulls off a world-class save. Today, I do feel he was kind of weak on a couple of occasions. The defence was also weak, letting those chances happen. But St Mirren were really strong, and they were playing against it on a play, and they took their chances. It shows how much a team, regardless of how good you're playing, how much a team can hurt you and go against you. Just those split-second decisions, those little half chances can mount up against you. For me, that's all it was today. A bad day at the office, a bad start, a bad team selection. I did feel like I would like to see Abel-Gard play the defensive midfield role and Aaron Moy play in front of him and just leave McGregor out. That's what I was looking for today. Wholesale changes right across the entire squad. And I do feel the clash of the strips would take players who are offbeat, looking for, and the one player I feel suffered from it the most today, guys, right? My person who had a howler was David Tumble. Every time he got the ball, he had his eyes down at his feet. They were on the ball. He was trying to lay the ball off. Every pass was loose. It was slack. He was second guessing everything, looking out for players to pass to. And I do feel that was a clash of the shots and the strip. You know what I mean? Yeah. I do fully feel that.
I was actually saying to Woodsy during the game, are we going to do a Fergie and at half time change our strip? You know, back to the Man
for it, bro.
When Man U in the 90s had the grey strip and they were getting beat like 3-0, I think it was, they had to change the strip at half time and we still lost the game. By the way, going into the game, did we see this result coming? So St Mirren started in 8th position in the league. They'd been on a good run of 3 wins on the bounce, but then their last result was a 3-0 defeat to St Johnstone, I believe. And of course, with the changes that we make, so let's just kind of read the starting 11. So Joe Hart again in goals. Back four of Taylor, Jens, Welsh and Ralston. We were told that Cameron Carter-Vickers pulled up with a sore one in training. And Josip Juranovic had been playing a lot of football recently. That's why Ralston started. And then in the midfield, you've got Kalmak, Moy and Turnbull. And up front, you've got Maida, Kyogo and Abada. Looking at that, who's your lock picker? Who's the one who's going to... I was thinking that today was a day where Tam Rogic would have been the man that you looked up to. And I was looking at Turnbull thinking, can he make an impact today? And Kaiser, you're right. Sometimes where you've not been playing every week and you're thrown in, you're a half yard off the pace. And there was a lot of people who were half yard off the pace. And although I wanted the likes of Turnbull to stand up, when no one else is really contributing, is it that fair that I lay blame on him, or even lay blame on people at Welsh who may have been culpable for a goal or two? One player I'm going to say, I'm not going to criticise him, it's just my observation. Kyogo. Now, Kyogo's not the type of player, in my opinion, who dominates games with his presence. I think Kyogo...
They beat Kyogo today, they beat the shit out of him. Off the ball and everything, they beat the shit out of him. Yeah,
he thrives on really good deliveries. He's not the type of player who can make a bad ball into a good ball. He needs a ball into feet, he needs a ball in behind. We need to be like on his wavelength. And when things are not working well with the deliveries, then he's completely wasted. He's like a passenger. That's my observation of how Kyogo can influence the game and when he cannot influence the game. McGinty, what do you think about Kyogo's performance today?
Lackluster. They parked the bus. Two banks, or five pretty much, they parked the bus. That leads nothing to a guy like Kyogo, who, as you just said, needs all the service in the world. So if you're going to take away the service of the likes of Hatate and O'Reilly from the middle, and we're going to come up against two banks of five with three runners in Abada, Kyogo and Maeda, if they've not got the service and the ball feeding through to them, they've got nowhere to run. They're running into brick walls and they've got no ball running into space. So what do you need there? Giamakis. No idea why he didn't start today. It was clear as day that that's what they were going to do. So it was not the game for Kyogo. And we've said this so many times. Kyogo's not going to be able to come up against these kind of teams that are just going to park the bus against us, use pretty much brute strength and bully him off the ball. He's feisty. He's energetic. He's got a place. He can score fantastic goals for us. Absolutely love the wee man. But today's not the game for him. This was Giamakis' game all day long. Same goes with other places in the park. As you're saying, making changes with likes of Moy and Turnbull, who's going to be your lock picker, who's the guy who's going to feed that ball through. It should have been O'Reilly starting. You don't make those two changes, you make one. You bring Moy on for somebody, say Hatate, and you leave O'Reilly there. You don't make two changes. You're completely changing the dynamic of that midfield and not then playing into what the front three is trying to do, which is making runs with nobody able to actually make that pass. It's a bit of a pointless thing all around when it comes to team selection.
I think very much, bro, it's horses for courses. And I think while Kyogo is the lockpick and he's like a finely tuned instrument, he's excellent for unlocking defences. And I do see Giamakis as a battering ram. There is days where it's better just to kick the fucking door off the hinges, you know what I mean? Rather than try and pick the lock. I would always start with Kyogo, personal preference, right? I'm just the kind of guy who would try and pick a lock before I would kick the door off the hinges. I wouldn't try and smash my way through a door and then come in with a finely tuned instrument and start picking at the keyhole. It just doesn't make any sense that way for me. You know what I mean? So I do feel with the changes in midfield, there was no linking with Kyogo. There was no cutting edge ball. There was no through ball, no insightful passing. And we do see Hatate lose the ball a couple of times when he does it, but he fucking does it. He steps up and he makes that pass. He'll go for it again and again and again. That's what makes him quality. Him being out of the squad, Tumble being in, not really having the best game. I believe Moy was pretty lackluster. You know what I mean? His performance was pretty lackluster. While not, again, doing anything glaringly wrong, he never done anything glaringly right this time.
Thank you, Kaiser. Thank you. I've been trying to say that.
It was kind of it's like he's said it's like a duck on water. Under the water, you can see the feet are kicking, but he looks calm. And whenever he passes the ball, it's always cross-fielder back, and it's easy to take the easy ball, and it's easy for me to say that, right? But if I was under pressure coming into a club like Celtic and I was Aaron Moy, I would certainly take the easiest option and not give anyone a reason to be looking at me, because Maeda's doing nothing wrong, and people are looking at Maeda and kind of making a bit of a whipping boy out of him now and again, especially online. I see a lot of that. I do think every team is going to turn up when teams play against Celtic. That's their League Cup final. That's the World Cup to that team. You get me? That was St Mirren's World Cup. Those players turned up today and put in the effort. A little bit of help for the straps. a little bit of help for the referee, a little bit of help with Celtic not really being at the races. It all contributed, but I've taken nothing away from St Mirren. They earned their victory today. They deserved it. And Ange going into an international break and a layoff of the football, I'm sure he'll be very disappointed. And I wouldn't like to be those players and see what kind of miniature pre-season they're going to get in this little shutdown as a way of punishment. And I do see Ange probably did after the game. I didn't even watch the interviews after the game. Ange probably came on, stuck his chin in the air and went, my fault. You know what I mean?
I can believe he would have. Again, one of the downsides of doing a podcast where you try to get on 5-10 minutes after the kick final whistle, you miss all the post-match stuff. But we'll watch it back later on. Obviously, we'll tweet it out if we can find the links to it. But I can imagine Ange will take full responsibility for that. Too many changes in the central defence, central midfield. Too much changing going on there. One from each position at most.
Speaking of St Mirren today, I said at the start, I think they thoroughly deserved their win today. And
I'm surprised St Mirren haven't got an open top bus for fucking Paisley right now, singing Rule Britannia all the way down the streets. You get me? It's like the nation will be behind them because they got a result against Celtic. Everyone's looking to put us down, to spit in their pudding, to put Ange down, to go, oh, well, look, your manager isn't as good as you think he is. You might play nice football, but you can't really score goals. Stupid things like that people are going to come with. Stupid ammunition. That's water off a duck's back. You know, that's nothing to us. We are Celtic supporters. Faithful through and through. I've been here for the bad times. You know what I mean? I was raised in Ibrox, watching Rangers fucking down 9 in a row across the road. The only Celtic fan in the village, sitting on the... you know what I mean? They all walked past and pointed at, like, ha, your team's shite. No, who's pointing at who? No. I'm not going to stop pointing. I love being here. I love being in Ibrox. I love walking around with my Celtic top on and giving it back as good as I got it growing up. I absolutely love it. Don't let anyone ruin our party. You know what I mean? This is a party. Okay, St Mirren just says they're phoning the police. The police are on the way. Now is not the time to be sad and start cleaning up. Now is the time to shit in the kettle. Let's go, Trips. Get right behind the team and just support them even harder. You know what I mean?
Calendar, you remind me of like a soldier who's been left behind enemy lines. So props to you. I wanted to pick up on the tactics of St Mirren today. It doesn't surprise me, but it's the casual dark arts which we do see in football. And I'm not in blue murder here because it's part of the game. If you're naive enough or emotional enough to say you shouldn't get away with that, then fucking get real. It's part of the game.
Well, it's one of my favourite things about the game, right? You see, Italian teams are masters of it, right? When you're watching the football, inevitably you're the same as a referee, right? You watch the ball, you watch the player in possession, maybe the player in front where the pass could be if you feel you're good at watching football, right? But you don't watch off the ball, and the referee certainly doesn't watch what's going on off the ball. Italian teams, right? Your player will be looking to run down the wing and he's just pulling them back ever so slightly. And over the 90 minutes of a game, always contributed. You always seen Celtic against AC Milan. And we get to the last bit of the game and our players look an extra bit tired. That's a result of them leaning and pulling. You see it in heavyweight boxing. Tyson Fury leans on the other boxer. He's like 22 stone a man tit. He's leaning on you. You're going to get tired. You know what I mean? That's what they do. They do that subversion of the ball. Not a lot of people know that, bro. That's highly intelligent to notice that goes on. St Mirren were doing that today, and the referee was letting it slide. You get me? That's what I was talking about. Subverting the play off the ball, hindering Celtic at every opportunity.
There was like shot pulling, obstructions off the ball, and as you said, a lot of the refereeing decisions, it did seem to go in their favour. However, whenever you're a frustrated Celtic fan watching on, and
the second goal was offside. The man was clearly offside.
Are you talking about it? Well, since you bring up the second goal, that was the long throw in. Now, it was Curtis Main who was being marked by Jens. Curtis Main headed it onto a Junga, and a Junga who happened to be marked by Welsh headed it home. Now, Jens failed to stop the first head, and Welsh failed to stop the second head. So which one of those do you think were offside, Curtis Main or Junga?
I think when the ball was thrown into Main was onside, but when Main made contact with the header to put it across the box, a Junga, if that's his name, was offside at the back post. And I would back Welsh in that aerial challenge. He's one of our best players in there.
I think Andy Walker was saying about that one as well. Oh, you'd have to.
This guy moved the camera. He actually moved the camera from being in line to the corner to look at it to make it look like more contentious a decision.
Even with that corner camera, you could still see his left foot was offside. Now, I don't expect the linesman to really get that. A lot's going on, but that's what VAR will stop happening. That will prevent that, because as soon as that goal goes in, I mean, there's nothing happening elsewise.
The bottom half of the players are all the same colour. You get me? The bottom half of the players are all the same colour.
Aye. I guess now we've spoken about the second goal. Going to the first goal, that was 42 minutes, and it was a floating cross from our right flank, and it was O'Hara who was a late runner into the box. He was completely unopposed. Ralston was already marking one of the other players, Ayunga, I think it was, and Ayunga was actually leaning on Ralston. So the other boy, O'Hara, completely unopposed, and he heads in at the near post. I'd imagine maybe some people might blame Hart. Other people might be blaming the organisation of the defence, why that guy was actually able to run in unmarked.
It was good play from St Mirren, bro. Good play from St Mirren. They were leaning on the Celtic defenders, causing them to stay still. Left an unchecked run into the box, and the boy done well, made good connection and finished well. What is Hart really genuinely going to do there? Pull it right out the bottom corner, world-class save. That's not every single save. See, if we get a keeper that can do that every single save, I can only imagine how much he'd be worth. I actually think over the odds, and if you balance out over this season and look at what Hart's done, even look at what he's done so far, he's really up there. He's rolling back the years for Celtic. He's playing really well. And I do think Siegrist is challenging him as well. Seabrest, I call him. He's out there just working. He's working hard. I do feel like when Joe Hart brought him in, it was to challenge himself. He's challenging himself as well. I know that I say it like Joe Hart brought him in. It did very much seem that way, like Joe Hart was giving the nod, or nodding towards the club and Ange over competition for himself. You know what I mean? The meetings I've seen them previously in the league and the discussions, blah, 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 on the pitch, they seem to have a bit of chemistry. But I do think Hart will be his own worst critic. And Celtic, the players will know exactly what this means today. A bad day at the office and all the excuses cast out. The players will know exactly what this means today. I could see it in them, the effort at the end of the game. I could see they could tell exactly what it means to us as fans.
Yeah. Another kind of point that I've noticed in the first half, I was looking at Ralston, who was getting down the right flank and putting in crosses. He put in two really poor crosses in the first half. Maida managed to get to one of them, but he was stretching and he could get barely any connection at all. And the next one, it was just far too high, far too powerful, and it went out for a throw-in. But Ralston put in a third cross after those two hapless efforts, and it landed perfectly for Kyogo. Kyogo managed to test it, but as soon as he made that contact, and you're looking, what's he going to do next? He gets surrounded, and the ball gets cleared out the pitch. And I'm just thinking, could Giakoumakis have done any better? But then, of course, Giakoumakis comes on in the second half, and let's be honest, we're all screaming for Jota to start, Giakoumakis to start, horses for courses. But no matter how many people we put on the variation in play, it mattered fuck all. I would also like to say that we threw the kitchen sink at him. We didn't throw the kitchen sink. We huffed and we puffed, but the delivery was shite. We ran out of ideas. The ammunition was poor today. I know that some people might want to blame it on personnel, but no matter what we did, no matter what we tried today, it just, in my opinion, it wasn't going to work. And I'm not convinced if we started with our favourite 11, then we would have won today. McGinty, would you agree or disagree with that?
It's a different game. You can't say yay or nay if it's going to be, because you start different players, you play different football, passes get made differently. But I definitely fully stand by what I said at the start. We picked the wrong team. Ange takes all the blame for that team selection, and Moy needs to take some blame for not showing up anymore. I say anymore. For me, Moy's had enough time to know that he can't show up to this team. He's just not of our calibre. Great footballer, great talent, no doubt about him being a really good footballer, but he's just not suited to this game of football that we play. And Joe Hart, for me, needs to stand up and take a bit of responsibility. He flapped for both goals. We can discuss, the slight push on Welsh and the slight offside for the second goal. We can talk about the run for the first goal and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, Joe Hart flaps. They're balls that he should be getting hands onto, at least. And he's letting them go in. And that's not the first time he's done that. I'm not asking for him to be dropped indefinitely. I'm not saying he's useless. He's been absolutely brilliant for us over the last season and a bit. Absolutely phenomenal goalkeeper for us. And he will be a phenomenal goalkeeper for the rest of the season. I've no doubt about it. But we've got a capable player in Siegrist who must be chapping on that door to come in.
I watched a thing earlier in the week, guys, right? And it was an interview with Ange. I can't even remember what it was on, but definitely on YouTube. And he was talking about how he loves to keep people on edge, right? He loves, he says he feels people, players, staff do their very best work when they're on edge, like dangling on the precipice. So he never lets anybody really get comfortable in their position, comfortable in their role, comfortable in their place at Celtic. Not even the fans. He's not even let us get comfortable. We're not even comfortable with the idea of Ange being at Celtic for a long time. Any report that comes in a bit of fancy for Ange, we're all right on it. We're like, what do you mean? Stay away from Ange. You know what I mean? I think that result today, right, while it's a bad result, right here, right now, in the aftermath of the result, it seemed like minute factors contributed in going against us, in my opinion, right? But that is something that we're going to face. A bad day at the office, a bad game, digging it out, not digging it out. We're going to face that throughout the campaign. I do feel that this will very much reinforce Ange putting everybody on edge. Like, are you really a starter? Do you really feel like you're contesting for a place in this midfield? Should Ange have made all the changes he made? I wanted him to make more changes, in all honesty, before the game. I wanted a whole raft of changes. You know what I mean? Right, like we did in the League Cup.
Could you bring up a comment there for Joseph Agnew, and I'll read it out, please?
Yes.
So McGinty, of course, was talking about Joe Hart, and another person had said that Joe Hart has been at fault for the last 3 goals for Celtic. The last 3 goals for Celtic, I would say that Hart has had no protection. But Joseph Agnew, I do not agree that Hart was at fault for both goals. The players looked like not interested, and though they drain with first team, is this because players not getting game time? And needs to sort out. Kaiser, you were also talking about players on people thrive when they're on edge, and I think that's quite indicative because Postecoglou operates on a 1-year rolling contract, so I think that's indicative of that. But another thing that I wanted to ask you about was Postecoglou keeping the players on edge, and we've seen it by making half-time substitutions. So the Real Madrid game, we saw at half-time, Abad came off, Maida came on. That's a rocket up the arse there. The following Champions League game happens again with Haksabanovic coming off at half-time and Maida coming on. And then today, simply the writing was on the wall. So I was very much encouraging this one to come half-time. Jota and Rio Hatate comes on, Moy and Maida come off. But in general, are you quite happy with a manager who's ruthless enough to make those decisions at such an early time in the game, and what sort of message does that send to the players in the dressing room?
For me, bro, I'm delighted if Ange is willing to hook anyone who's not performing instantly. You know what I mean? See, the mere fact that he waited to half-time, he could have, I would have been 20, 25 minutes into that game and looked at how it was going and started making changes straight away. Went, right, we've not started at the races here. They're in 2 banks of 4. You know what I mean? Every player's behind the ball. If they manage to get ahead of us, this is going to be an uphill battle. I would have instantly made changes to the team. I don't subscribe to this blaming Hart, right? I do think he was weak, but he is only human. He's not superhuman. You know what I mean? He was weak on those chances. And I'm not leading into this narrative that's being built right now, right? Because the narrative that's being built right now, our squad went from scoring 9 goals against Dundee United to really getting the most finite chances in the Champions League and being expected to convert them. Because we didn't convert those chances, suddenly there's a striking issue, problem scoring goals. And then today we didn't score any goals. That will be seen as it's a striking issue. Once again, that narrative being built. And while looking at Joe Hart, it's picking apart our own team. I just don't see it. Anyone can have a bad day at the office, you know what I mean? Champions League games are going to be intensely hard, finite chances. That, for me, when that's the difference in the game, when that's the difference in a Celtic game, I'm delighted. I was rolling about with joy. You know what I mean? I feel we could have had a win. I feel the first half against Real Madrid, the first 55 minutes, we outplayed one of the very best teams in Europe. Completely outplayed them. And then they came into the game. We forced them to come alive. We kicked that dragon to life. You know what I mean? We forced them to come out and play against us. And they did come out and play against us. I think every goal they scored against us was artistry in football. It was they unlocked us completely. And the biggest danger that Celtic is going to face as a team is what we faced in midweek in Europe as well, is a team that have got an electric player on the counter-attack who can hit and counter us while we're doing the high press. That's the hardest thing Celtic are going to face. But other teams are going to need to face them as well. Real Madrid may succumb to them on the counter-attack. Might leave ourselves with too high a mountain to climb like Celtic just did today. I think the group in the Champions League is wide open. I think the league is still there. It's there to be contested. It's not over and done. And today should be a reminder that it's not over and done. You got to cross the T's and dot the I's, put in the punctuation marks and the full stops. You got to make sure you're there every day, because these teams that are playing against us are going to turn up and give it their all. So Celtic need to turn up every time and give it their all. Am I disappointed with some of the performances today? Yeah, I certainly am. I think there's a couple of players that were off the pace. Definitely coming in and getting your chance before that international break. Maybe some of them thought, it's not really a chance, is it? There's not really a big game after this game for a couple of weeks. And then it's got to be all that training and the tussling and the decisions of how well you train. And you know what I mean? Maybe they didn't just turn up as well as they should have. I don't know. I can't exactly put my finger on it. You know what I mean? I think St Mirren played well and we didn't play exceedingly well. Well, I wouldn't go around the squad and start picking out people and giving them 4s. I would give most of the squad an average 5 for their turn-up and performance. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody was particularly stand out as much as anybody was particularly at fault.
With the viewers' comments defending Joe Hart, I'm with you guys on Joe Hart. I don't think he's the scapegoat today. McGinty, one question I want to ask you is the rotation that we're seeing now between Maida, Abada, and now Haksabanovic. I don't think that Ange knows his best 11, because none of those guys, we've got early goals yet for Haksabanovic, but I don't think Maida or Abada have really thrown down a marker yet. I think their confidence will be brittle at times. What do you think about that?
I think it's a tough one. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Abada from last year as well. I think Abada and Jota should be the starting wide players with either Kyogo or Giamakis up top, depending on the opponents that we're playing. If we're playing against St Mirren away, then Giamakis, obviously. I would be starting Abada and Jota. Maeda, for me, great little player. And I think Ange definitely, obviously, rates him. He brought him here for a reason, and he can offer us something. I'm not sure Maeda's hit the levels to secure a spot, but I don't think Abada is consistent enough. Even when Abada's on his game, he's quality. And obviously Haksabanovic just coming in the door, he needs time to get up to speed. What we're seeing with Ange, who can Abada at halftime, who can who did he hook at halftime today?
He took off Moy.
I'm not telling you.
Aye. Sorry, my heat's fried.
I don't know.
Reading all these comments and blocking people.
Don't block anybody, bro. Let them
It's
comment.
good.
Did you get some blue noises in the comments?
There's been a few.
I like them.
it's
See,
a
your
good-
lovers, right? Your lovers will turn up now and again. Your haters will be there every time. Right as soon as that stream starts. Welcome in, haters.
I'm all right if they want to show up and waste their time listening to Celtic fans talking about a Celtic game on a Sunday afternoon, when I don't know what it's like for you guys down the road, but it's absolutely gorgeous up here. So if that's how they're spending their days, batter in. They call us obsessed. But no, with Ange and the wingers, it's kind of like a luxury, but he's not settled on what pairing he wants. I think Jota's got his position. That's undoubtedly his position. But the other three, it's the rotation's probably not helping any of them settle into a rhythm and to find that form that they need. And I think Ange is maybe waiting for one of them to really push themselves. But he's also very ruthless. And I like that he's ruthless. It's not working. off you come. Half time, 55 minutes, off you come. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think the most contested area would be on the right. So the right winger. In the European game in midweek, right? I was even at one point hoping we started with JJ and Ralston playing in front of him just to neutralise their wing, just completely neutralise that. I'll start with Maeda in front and just neutralise it with running. You know what I mean? But we didn't start that way. We were more aggressive, more attacking. There was benefits. I did think Haksabanovic coming in. I thought he would kind of pull off his shirt and throw his hat in the ring for the right wing. You know what I mean? He would I do know Abada's really good, but I think he's young. He still needs nurtured and protected. Showed with his chance against Real Madrid and the way he went a bit weak at the knees, a wee bit scared of the bird, some could say. You know what I mean? He got right up to the goal and just a mute shot, you know what I mean? But that was just that's indicative of a young player overwhelmed with that chance and that occasion. I do feel Abada needs protected. He needs looked after by Celtic and nurtured. I think Andrew's doing a fantastic job of that. I would like to see somebody really stake a claim on that right-hand side. See, like, if Haksabanovic is going to continue to push Jota on the left and contest with Jota, then I would really like Maeda or something just to really stake a claim on the right and go, okay, right, I'm not the most skillful player. I'm not going to turn into a Jota overnight and start doing 15 step overs, but I can knock the ball past the guy and fucking run. So just do more of that. Even Ralston on the right-hand side in midweek, I do feel while that would have studied Celtic defensively, he also offers an attacking option. He's a powerful runner and a good crosser. We did see him put in a couple of kind of shite crosses today, but there was that one that was quality, you know what I mean, that came in for Ralston in the second half that I thought he's always a danger for crossing. He's always a danger going forward. Ralston offers a different kind of threat to Juranovic. You know what I mean? Always an option for Celtic. Always.
Definitely just a bad day at the office overall. I'm quite interested to see after today, because today was very much there was a physical theme about our downfall, and we've got the new guy and the Danish guy, 6'4" defensive midfielder Abdelgard. I think I could have butchered his name. He was on the bench today, but no doubt far too premature to actually throw him in. It'll be interesting after the international break what he can contribute to the squad. And a wee note here from Frank Kennedy. Turnbull plays well in a winning team. We have said that before, yeah. Playing good football and scoring lots of goals, but when we are struggling, he is anonymous. I used to actually say that about Greg Taylor once upon a time, that he could only do it on a sunny day at Parkhead when everybody's firing on
lots of players I've said that about, bro. Like when Janino was at Celtic and I was like, right, Cavalier player, when we're winning and outplaying teams, he's luxury, he comes on and he adds to that flavour and spice. But when you're looking for someone to be the difference and dig you right out the hole, that's more Moravchik you're looking at, isn't it? A stroke of genius from nowhere. You know what I mean? A bolt from the blue, a Stoichkov. Is David Turnbull a Stoichkov? He certainly is not. You know what I mean? But he is...
Stoichkov, my favourite players of all time.
Stoichkov would loiter around a game doing absolutely fuck all. At one point, I think he was rolling a smoke, you know what I mean? And then he would pop up with a world-class goal from absolutely nowhere. You could just leave the man at no point in time. One of my favourite players ever as well, bro.
Again, to know that you're a big Barca fan, I know that we're digressing here, but that was the front pairing of Johan Cruyff for Barcelona, Romario and Hristo Stoichkov, with your man Guardiola just in behind. What a team that was. But back to Turnbull. Is he a potential scapegoat today? Was today a big chance for him, or do we kind of let him off because nobody turned up, nobody get pass marks? He could even level that at Callum McGregor. He didn't really do much of any significance.
No, I go back to the blind goals with Ange for that. Turnbull and Moy is the change in midfield. That's on Ange. Does Turnbull become a different player if you had him and McGregor? Possibly the game looks a bit different, but it's down to Ange for making two changes in the midfield like that, and the changes at the centre back position as well. That's all on Ange. We know what kind of player Turnbull is. You've both have just said it. He's a bit of a luxury player. He comes onto a good game when we're winning. He adds that little bit of spice and flavour, as Kaiser says. He's not going to dig us out of the hole, though. No. So if you're going to play that game that we were playing today, I
Well,
don't.
the one player for Celtic I seen dig us out of a hole was Callum McGregor last year at Ibrox. And that was one of the main reasons a lot of Celtic fans were going, get a defensive midfield here, get him in and set Callum McGregor free going forward, take advantage of that powerful running going forward. I remember when Scott Brown first came into Celtic, that was a feature of his game as well. And then he got adapted and slowly fell back and sitting deeper in the midfield and was excellent in that role as well. You know what I mean? I do think bringing in those... I'm still blaming the honking strip. Oh yeah, I actually like that strip. But honking performance and that honking strip. Right, we'll go with that one. Sorry, just completely lost my train of thought with reading that comment now. I hijacked your point anyway, bro. I'm so sorry. Do it all the time. Podcasts are the place for amazing comparisons. You know what I mean? I just compared Tumble to Stoichkov. I'm sure Stoichkov is watching this in the comments right now. Like, send us that Kaiser Dick's address. I'm not done here with a gang of the boys and say about us.
To give you a stats rundown, probably not surprising, possession 80% against 20. We had 18 shots to their 4, but we only had 4 shots on target to their 2. And they certainly made their 2 shots on target count. We had 7 corners. Normally, we've actually been doing quite well this season with corners, but the aerial threat really wasn't there. They totally nullified that. They had 6 corners, and Fibbles, we had 10. They had 15. I think we only had 2 yellow cards, and that was Ralston for a bit of petulance right at the end, and Haksabanovic. Haksabanovic was looks to be a bit of a fiery character. He had. He almost decked that wee ball boy, but the ball boy was being a wee fanny. I've got to admit that. I would have actually liked to have seen Haksabanovic start with the day. I think he plays with arrogance. That's something that I want to see Abada do. It might be a little while before Abada can bring that into his game where he's got full confidence in his ability. But it's easy to forget that Haksabanovic was signed by Ruben Kazan for $6 million. They must have seen something in him. He's still a young player, 23 years old, but he offers something totally different from Abada or from Maida. He's a much more technical player. I'm interested to see what Haksabanovic can bring to the squad. The Ewan boy are flipped. Yeah,
sorry, bro, just laughing at Paddy's comment now. Tumble is a weapon. He's shaped like a light bulb. He's got it. He's summed him up.
Paddy's up for you there, Gav.
Tumble is a weapon. He'd shaped like a light bulb, but certainly not as bright. Absolutely shit the bed when playing against teams who have a go against Celtic, especially physically. We know that Paddy is not the biggest Tumble fan. And that's
where was the Tumble tornado today? He was just looking at his feet.
Tornado.
That's I'm very much, guys. I take it on the chin, win, lose or draw. I'm sorry again for interrupting you again, bro, and just hijacking. I take it on the chin. I'm loving here, right? This is the first time I've been able to see the comments at the side of the screen. I just figured out how to do that. You know what I mean? Loving this today. The commenters coming in. I really like reacting to people in the comments because I'm used to being in the comments as well, guys, in other streams and reacting with just what's going on in chat. So there's a lot of value with the chat. A lot of funny comments come in a lot of the time. And you guys miss them sometimes, but it's understandable when you're on here and you're trying to get to a point or motor through a point and you've already got me pulling you off the subject. You know what I mean? The guys are like, Kaiser, shut up and let us do this. So I'm going to do that, bro, right?
I'm using a fucking phone anyway, so my phone doesn't actually let me view the comments. I'm just depending on other people actually putting them up on the screen. For John Coyle, worst performance I've seen in a long time. Well, we would say that after 38 unbeaten league games. But you can't be superstars every game. Totally agree. Lick our wounds and look at the next game. Who is the next game that we've got? We've got the Champions League. I'm sorry, we've got the international break coming up. What's the next game we've got?
October the 1st, Motherwell at home, which surprisingly I should be able to attend. I'm going to be down that weekend.
Coming down to the mainland.
Yeah, a wee adventure.
You come down and visit me. Come down and get a cup of tea with the guys.
You wish. Nah, I'm coming down for a Brian Cox thing at the Hydro on the Sunday night. So we're coming down for a couple of nights. So hopefully get tickets and get along to that game, which would be good. First game in a long time for me.
I think I seen you tweet out and said it earlier in the week, bro, that you were coming down.
Yeah.
For tickets to Motherwell games. So anybody in the chat, it can help out.
Not already got sorted. One of the friends kind of messages on the side, so already got them sorted. So long as that doesn't fall through. All
excellent, bro. Excellent.
Nice one. To the viewers, thanks for tuning in, by the way. I hope you're not always gutted. I'm actually more gutted, as I said.
Remember to like and subscribe and share. I always notice where subscribers are kind of low there, and I'm like, people forget to do it. See, when you're viewing on the mobile phone, you need to slide it up ever so slightly, and there's this red thing that says subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Just press that, and then press like, and then share. Tell all your pals about us. Tell them where to find the Kaiser, and where to find the Jungle Gyms. Right here, best content online.
Jim will be struggling for content then during the international break. It's always a fucker, man. I hate that.
I'll get this, bro. I'll have a party. I'll get my hot tub that I just took down. I'll bring it in the kitchen here. I'll set it up. We'll do a hot tub stream.
One thing I want to see is Kai's in a hot tub.
I
can imagine you and Paddy in there with a couple of brewskis.
Oh, get a Paddy, I definitely do. Yes, Joe, baby oil everywhere, running butt naked through the streets of Ibrox in full sprint. Don't you worry. But there's no stopping Paddy.
Aye, well, on that image, we'll wrap it up for this afternoon, unless there's any other comments you want to discuss.
Anything for the chat? Anybody in the chat get any points to make they would like to add and contribute? More than welcome. Batter in. Open forum for the last couple of seconds.
Unless somebody comes up with something massively amazing, I think most of the comments throughout the day have been pretty much disagreeing with me and my comments on Hart, and everybody agreeing that Ange made too many changes. But the general feeling, I think, from everybody in the chat, from everybody, all three of us on here, you win them, you lose them, but we're still top of the league at the end of the day. 1
point from me that I remembered. Remember when we played Ross County in our first game of the Premier Sports? We made tons of changes and we still won 3-1, although we only got our second goal with about 7 minutes to go of the 90. We made tons of changes.
You know what, Paddy?
Sometimes you can make the changes and it works. Sometimes you make the changes and it doesn't work. Today, it just didn't work. A bad day at the office all round. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Go on and hit the like button, subscribe, and we will be back on Tuesday. What day is it today? Today's Sunday. We'll be back on Tuesday for another Tuesday TikTok. Kaiser, thanks very much for joining us. Always a pleasure.
Anytime, legends. You know, Kaiser's here.
Thanks and flavour to the show. And McGinty, you have a good one up the shirt.
We'll do. Hey, lads. All the best.